Anoi ke aloha kako. Mahalo nui for joining us, whether you're live or you're going to watch the recording. It's so exciting. We have people that registered in California, in Oregon, and in Washington. And also, I think we have Texas was the furthest. And then I think there was some other North Coast people. So mahalo nui for registering. We're super honored to be, this is one of our favorite things to talk about is ʻea and sovereignty within our nation. I'm super honored to be here co-presenting with Malia Kaʻaihue. She has always been a huge mentor and like someone that I was like always would watch from afar in the lahui, like, wow, she's just incredible. And she has been building businesses and raising a family of 8 kids and 8 businesses. And so super, she really knows ʻea and wealth, building wealth, and as well as never sacrificing your role as a mother. And so it's always super inspiring. Malia, do you want to say anything?
Just Velina kako o wau I hono Malia Kaʻaihue o hino kuʻupulaiwi a kino hone au me kuʻu hana mamakaha I kia manawa. I'm Malia. Nice to meet you guys all. Those that are here online with us and those that will be watching this after. My kulaiwi is in Wauhinu. I was born in Hilo and I live in Makaha with my Kane on the block he grew up in. He grew up on with our ohana out there. Aloha everyone. Thanks for having me, Pua.
Yay, super honored. Yeah, so e hope makana about Mikela. So ano ai ke aloha kako about PuaoEleili no kailua mai au ma ike manawa no homa manana kapa ia Pearl City. But yeah, nui ka mahalo e kipa mai ana nei. So super honored to be here. Kailua is my favorite place to be, and now we are in Hawaiian and our manana. And yeah, let's talk about sovereignty tonight. So tonight we're going to just define what ʻea is. We're going to have ʻea in ʻāina, ʻea in birth, and ʻea in business. And then we're going to close out implementing ʻea and continuing it. And so ʻea defined. So ʻea o ka iʻa he wai. The ʻea of fish is water. Ke ʻea o ke kanaka he makani. The ʻea of a person is wind. Ka ʻea o ka honua he kanaka. The ʻea of earth is the person. Ka ʻea o ka moku he hoeuli. The ʻea of the ship is the steering paddle. O ka ʻea o ko Hawaiʻi Pae ʻāina ʻoia no ke oho aupuni ʻana. And the ʻea of Hawaiian Islands is our independent government. And this was stated in a speech printed in the Hawaiian newspaper, August 12th, 1871, by David Malia. And what beautiful visuals this gives, because when we talk, you cannot explain a Hawaiian without explaining our ʻāina and our pilina and our relationship to the ʻāina, and how you know that a Hawaiian is so able to talk about this. Their ʻāina is that they're very detailed in the observations that they have. And so that's what clearly is defined in here. And I just think, yeah, all these things we need are very important for our life, for us to be able to live and thrive. Malia, do you have anything you want to talk about this?
Yeah, I mean, this is such a beautiful statement that was printed in Nupepa Kuʻokoʻa. And it just talks about ʻea as being that which you need to live and survive and thrive, right? So fish and it's the water, or if you're kanaka and it's the makani or the air, breathe. It's the things that you need to survive. So, you know, no ke ʻea ka pae ʻāina for the Hawaiian nation and the Hawaiian people, it's our governance. Right, that's the ʻea, and I think that we can look at this in a very national way, and with the lahui, and we can look at this and take that statement in a very personal way. That if I'm the archipelago, then how do I find my self-governance and my ʻea within all that I do, so that I can be true to who I am and thrive in that space.
No. Yes, how, and so that's what we're going to define tonight is how can we find our independence of our own self so that we can thrive independent as well as interdependently living in communally with our families and our community and our land. And so ʻea and ʻāina. So ʻāina is really where the primal mana is. That's where our kuas are. And so the more we can get outside and look at the elements. I love to talk about birth, and whenever I'm reading old Hawaiian stories about childbirth, it defines like where the people are, their homelands, and then it just says one line like, and she starts to go into labor, and then it'll jump to the imagery of a storm. And so I think that is so poetic of our people to do, because if we really try to observe storms, then when we are in labor, we realize, wow, it's just like a storm. And so you're not fearful of it, because just as the seasons turn in a storm, these are the same things that are happening within our body. And so that's how we find ʻea, is letting go of fear and really grounding into our mana. And then we can do that even more so by the foods we eat, the medicines that we have. The more that they are grown from Hawaii is or wherever your homeland is, then you're also embodying that from what you're eating. You are what you eat. And then now that we have such a beautiful big global market, our medicines can be sustainably sourced with the same ʻea that we so desire for our own home. We see it reflected in other communities, and that's us really being a conscious, intentional consumer. Anything for you, Malia?
No, I think that was perfect.
Amazing. Okay, you want to talk about our video, or you just play them?
Yeah, I mean, I can set up the context. So this video was taken in Kealakekua Mountain Reserve on Moku Keawe on Hawaiʻi Islands. And it's part of the project to plant 1 million trees by the year 2030. And so it's reforesting the ecosystem. And from the trees that are planted, iliahi and naio are harvested in a very sustainable way. And Kealakekua Mountain Reserve has won awards now and being really amazing in thinking about ecosystem replenishment and just healing that ʻāina there. And we get to be a part of it in the work that we do with our doTERRA business. And Pua and I have both been up several times planting, and now KMR serves as a seed bank for a lot of our ali'i trust land stewards as well. And so it's just amazing to see. When Pua gets up there, she goes crazy because of all the different plants that they have there that they're seed banking for our native forest. So we just want to share this little video because it really is about ʻāina kanaka. It's how we as kanaka connect to ʻāina. And the more and more we close that gap and we become one, the more ʻea that we have in all of the aspects of our life.
Yeah. Yeah, and the one thing that I'll add is that I've been worked at a 100-acre nature preserve for 7 years and jumped around throughout the Hawaiian Islands doing ʻāina conservation, forestry, all kind of stuff. And never in my life have I seen so many saplings or young, 150,000 saplings in one area, this condensed form. And I just cry sometimes when I'm just seeing it, because a lot of the time we're trying to rebuild our forest and the invasives just are winning us, and like we only think that Monsanto is able to get these big numbers. And so doTERRA is totally changing the game, and I'm so grateful for them for being able to plant this much trees sustainably in a way that is aligned with a lot of our cultural values. And so I'm going to play the video.
Massive project to reforest iliahi. And doTERRA is really committed to doing it right, to not just planting the iliahi, but really restoring the entire forest.
For centuries, our ancestors were a part of nature. We're connected to them through the ʻāina and the sacred responsibilities, or kuleana, to restore what has been lost.
If you look up this hill a little bit, you'll see a bunch of koa coming in naturally before we planted. Once the ʻiliahi and the koa can loosen up the grass, then the other ones have a chance to come through just like that.
When we look out at this landscape here, it's been changed over time, and it's exciting to think that when the next generation and after them come, that it's going to be a forest again.
We're 3 generations here. Our mo'opuna, my son Kaʻaihue, my honua George. We're here as an ohana.
We're just trying to instill good practices for our ohana, so that 30 years from now, when we start seeing this project really flourishing, they'll understand the importance of it, and other projects like it as well. Yeah.
And so you see that this is a couple of years old and they've met those numbers, and it's really exciting to be a part of that. And so I love how Malia shares sometimes. Every time we buy through doTERRA, it's like the Amazon of healthy really quality plant medicine products. So every time we buy toothpaste and hair products, cleaning supplies, we're actually going to sourcing things like these forestry projects, reforestation projects all around the world. So it really hits close to home that we get to plant koa trees and ʻiliahi trees by the toothpaste that we buy. And also we've learned so much that infertility and even other woman issues really are affected if you are using products that are with synthetic smells that really throw off our endocrine system or throw off our hormonal system. So that's why it's so important to talk about ʻāina before you talk about birth, is because so much of our everyday projects should be sourced from our earth, really quality products. If you can't grow it, at least you can get it shipped to you, and really financially saving ways. And so if you are here live, I really want to do a little Q&A. Just what does it mean to have birth, ea and birth, or birth as a ceremony? Kalapua, would you mind sharing? Are you sticking there? Are you there?
What am I? I'm not too sure what to share.
Yeah. Have you ever heard birth as a ceremony?
No.
Okay, we're learning. What about ʻaleʻa? Okay, well, for me, birth as a ceremony means that you're being really intentional on all your choices. And so, and you're also coming from a really grounded space. And so, whoever you pray to, that spiritual guidance is really present in your birth. And so, you know, there's endless options, but especially if you give birth at home or in the hospital, there's all these options of which ways you could go. But when you're able to make those choices from a really grounded space, and there's no fear in it, that's what it means to be birth as a ceremony. You're not forced into anything, but you're intentionally choosing because you're so grounded and you're connected to your environment, to your body, and to the people that you're working with that are present in your birth. And so how do we get there? We really just take the time to settle into our bodies and ride the waves of our labor. And so there's different ways you can do it. And so ʻea and birth to me is you can use these doTERRA essential oils that really help us to navigate our, it's painful to give birth. And I'm kind of just gonna zip through these because I just want to give you some options. So that I do both la'au and essential oils in these spaces. And so if you don't have one from your ʻāina, then you can have one. And so these are a lot of, and we don't really have time to go through them, but these are some of the options of making ʻāina present in your birth. And so if you are interested in any of these products, we will do, we'll go over it next week. And so if you purchase any of them, we'll have a class next week that you can do it. And so it's really about, everything to prevent tears, calming your nerve system, healing your womb and healing your vagina area after you give birth. These are the things that all we can do all from our own health and really be able to nourish our bodies so that we're able to have a really great birth, as well as increase our breast milk and really end postpartum depression. All right, we're going to switch over to ʻea and business.
Yeah, I wanted to share a little bit about ʻea in business, because that, the beautiful part about this story with Pua and I is that that's kind of where we started. It's like, okay, if Pua is going to start a business, what would that look like? What are the things? Using her unique talents and skills, and incorporating what she wanted, which was to spend more time with her children. She was hapai with her second baby right there. And so it was an opportunity to really think about what ʻea and vaivai means. And we know that vaivai, the word vaivai means wealth. And it comes from the word vai, which is water. And so communities that had a lot of water were wealthy communities because they could feed large populations. But vaivai is really about providing value. And when I think about wealth, I think about value. Like, what is the value that we can provide for each other, for our families, for our communities, and for our lahui? And that value takes many forms and many shapes depending on the person. Sometimes it's a kalo farmer that provides food and sustenance and stewards our ʻāina. Sometimes it's a banker that is working in a corporate environment and trying to incorporate more sustainable practices in the work that they do while helping people to purchase homes and do other things that they need to do to thrive here in Hawaii. But at the end of the day, and business really comes to vaivai. Are you providing value? Are you providing wealth to yourself, to your ohana, to your community, and to the lahui? And we really have to think about it in those ways. They're kind of like circles that are intertwined with yourself at the center. And this is where it really reflects in birth, because really you as the mother is at the center of that space or that circle, and then it radiates out from you. With all of my births, I was lucky enough to have my babies, all my children with me and my husband. And that was a huge part of my ʻea and birthing, right? Was to create space for the most important people, that second circle around me, to be there to welcome our child into the world. And so when I think about ʻea in business, it really is that vaivai. What is the value that I can provide, or we can provide, or you can provide? And it's a beautiful thing, it's like when you have an auai in a lo'i, and that's the irrigation system that comes down from the stream, is that you can take water out of the stream, but as the water goes through your lo'i and goes back into the stream, it actually increases the amount of nutrients that go back into the stream that will then serve the next farmer, the next community member, so on and so forth. So thinking about that in business is really that, right? Is how do you provide value for yourself, your ohana, your community, and your lahui? You can flip to the next slide. Okay, so I talked a little bit about Pua, but I wanted to talk about really quickly how I think about business. And it's similar to how I feel like maybe our ancestors thought about resource management, right? Because, we managed ahupua'as from ridges to reefs. And in the ahupua'a, we had water, we had food, we had all these different assets that really took care of people and our population. And I think a business in that same way is that you are managing an ahupua'a. You're a steward of that resource or those resources. And really the most vaivai that you can produce, the most wealth that you can produce is when you can manage those resources in one, a sustainable way, two, in a way that takes care of our land and continues to connect us as kanaka to that environment. And three, one that provides wealth for your ohana. So when I think about business in a Hawaiian sense, I think about it as being a stewards of vaivai. Really, you're stewarding that wealth or that business and all of the assets and resources within that business so that you can bring about the most value for all of the people that you serve. And really, when you're serving people, you're solving problems for them. That's why the work that Pua is doing has been so phenomenally well received in the community, because Hawaiian women and women alike want to have more ea in their birthing. They want to feel like they are in a space that is nurtured and allows them to nurture their child into this world. It really is kind of the most beautiful experience that you can have as a female, to transition a human from your womb to the world, and to have that, to be able to be in charge of that space rather than follow a prescribed formula of how that has to take place, is something that Pua is really bringing to light in all the work that she does. And that is, for me, the perfect example of ea in business, is providing solutions for our community members to find ea within themselves and their circumstances and situations, and providing them with that value and the tools and the resources that they need to really level up, and lean into their own magic and their own mana. So that's a little bit about ea in business. We really wanted to share with you an example of ea in health and ea in wealth. But, you know, as you heard Pua and I both talk, you could see there's a lot of similarities in both those spaces. They're very reflective of each other, and they're very reflective of our identity as people of this land.
Yeah, and that's what I really loved about when I started to work with Malia and being more closely mentored, is that she really leads from that. And so I heard that she would go to board meetings, breastfeeding, and really reclaiming the spaces as women. That's what drew me so much to her, because I didn't want to take that hat off anymore. I wanted to just embody the space of both business and birth and being that role as a mom. And so to have somebody do it in such an accomplished way, I think that's what is really we're just so grateful to have Malia leading this way and helping to really create the abundance and that vibe with so many people that she works with. And then everyone that learns for her tries to replicate the best they can in their own special, like, that's what I love, is like, we're not trying to all be Malia, but she brings that gifts that of each individual person. And so that's what we want to make sure, that you find your own passion through this and you think of what gives you your ea, so that you can continue to bring it and let it just build it up so it's overflowing to other people. And so that's what this part was about, is ea, that how can you embody it? And so we want to make sure, for us, once we're clear on what is our home and where does our mana come from, that added to the rest of our expanding circles of who we are. And so your homework is to thinking about, where is your home? Where is your mountain? Where is your stream? How can you deepen this connection to these places so that you can co-create abundance around you? And do you know who the people, if you aren't physically the one embodying, being able to improve it better? And so I always think of, like, we can easily get busy from all the entertainment we do, so much fun and playing that we do, but how often are we actually taking care of our home? That it's not as you saw in like the opening slide, ea comes from actually taking the time to deepen our connection and putting our hands in the soil. And so if you're not physically doing it, do you know who the community people that are that you could possibly build a relationship and somehow add it into your days, maybe just a couple times a year to start of how can you start to reconnect with your home in a way where it's not just about play, but it's about making your home a better place. And then you can also support the community organizations that are doing that. And if you need help finding these places, please reach out. It's an amazing web. There's so many ʻāina organizations here in Hawaii and across Turtle Island that you can really find a place to a community of people that share similar values. Malia, did you have anything else you wanted to share for homework?
I love that assignment. So what is your mountain? What is your ocean? What is your stream? Right? Just saying those names out loud and learning them and deepening your connection to your ʻāina. I think that, sometimes you need intermediary steps, right? Before you maybe want to volunteer at a lo'i, like you can do some research and you can follow these organizations online and you can support them by sharing their information and events. Like it doesn't even cost money. I think about when investing as time, treasure, and talent, like you're either investing your time, your treasure, which is your money, or your talent, which is the unique skills that you have. And maybe you need to work around space to do that, but it doesn't cost anything to follow these great organizations that are producing our food. Pua is amazing at finding great life hacks around really meeting the farmers and the makers around food with the boxes that she purchases and how she buys her food and prepares her food. So definitely want to lean into her and her expertise. But it's really simple, right? It's really about ʻāina kanaka. It's about talking to your neighbors. It's about being relational and all of the things that you do instead of transactional. And I think that's a big shift. Right now, how we eat food, myself included, is really transactional. We go and we purchase things to eat and then that's it. But I think the challenge that Pua is laying in front of us is how do you create relations around the food and food systems and plants and plant medicine, and then level up really your game by being fully engaged in that.
Malia, you're pretty amazing. I mean, poor Makamai's party was pretty ʻāina sourced, and so yeah, I think you give yourself less credit, but yeah, I think it's really cool to go to someone's party and actually be like, oh, I'm her neighbor, I'm her, like, all the different communities. And so yeah, it's really amazing it feels that's a really important health, is that we're not trying to be isolated, but this just asks you to build intentionality, and the quality of your relationships is another indicator of health. And so yeah. Mahalo. Oh yeah, and then also when we're talking about birth, another birth tidbit, because there's a good amount of pregnant ladies that are gonna watch this or watching. When you know these spaces, when you're going into your labor, whether it's at home or in the hospital, these are the spaces in your mind's eye that you want to go to really root into. And so if you know these places, if you're visiting it the last month, all throughout your pregnancy, then when you're going into your breathing, your meditative state, you can easily imagine this place. And so this is my mountain when I was laboring and giving birth. And every time I just went out there and it felt so hard, looking at this mountain really helped me to push through the hardest parts. And so you don't have to have it physically there, but if you have that picture in your mind or on your phone, make sure you're using that in your labor and in your birth. And so we have little gifts for you. So these are some of my top favorite things that I would never go to a birth without. And so the key element here is our Malama kit. And so this is the one, the ʻiliahi, that is sourced in Kealakekua. And so you have this beautiful oil called malama, and the smell to me is like a kupuna hug. It's just like cheerful citruses that really lift you up into a positive space, but at the same time really roots you to the core of the earth. And that's really what the amazingness of ʻIliʻahi is. And it comes with a soap bar as well as a hand cream, and so all those things can be really helpful in your birth, as a belly cream too. You don't have to use it just on your hands because we're not as dry as the States. But then, yeah, so this is a deep blue rub that will really help with your body pain. Your clary calm really helps with your contraction pains. Lavender helps you step back into a meditative state, and breathe helps you to open your lungs so you can ride the waves of your contractions and your breath is how you ride it. So this is the QR code that you can purchase this kit. And then our second offering is is a little bit bigger kit. So if you buy all these oils, these are like my top favorites. I don't only use them for birth, but on my day-to-days. And so you see that the jasmine is added because this is our pikake, and there's like these florals that help you really blossom into a really stressful time. And so and there's many studies that jasmine as well as rose helps with your postpartum recovery. So all of these are going to help you in labor and postpartum. Heather Krishnam is one that is if you ever are bleeding out, this one will help to stop any blood, and adaptive. It helps, is kind of like the chill pill. And so again, this is a bigger kit. And so as our appreciation, you get a bonus malama kit for purchasing these, and you'll be really solid to have a great labor postpartum. And then if you are interested in oil, while this is one that you get shipped to your door, we can talk about the la'au that you can find in your community, and also add that to your labor. And then this one changed the game for me. When I was postpartum, I could heal, I could bring in my milk, I could take away my back aches. But when it came to like my brain fog and my energy, I really struggled with that, even though I was doing as much as I could as far as like sourcing a lot of local ingredients, eating a lot of soups and things. There wasn't there. And then Malia actually was talking about this vitamin kit, and there was something in me that was like, I need this. And as soon as I started taking it, I could really feel the difference in my body, and that brain fog and energy. Actually, I didn't even realize how much it was working until she asked me about it, because I was just living life again. And that's just the gift of it. It really helps to improve the quality, and you can use it as a prenatal as well as a postpartum natal. It has all the ingredients that you need for it. And so mahalo nui, everyone, for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us for this discussion around ʻea. I hope you enjoyed it, and you're taking some tidbits away that you're really know that ʻea is within your reach. And we're really doing this so that we can spend more time with the people we love the most, our families. And so again, if you are interested in joining our doTERRA Hui, or even having additional services, next Wednesday at 7 o'clock, if you join any services from me or from doTERRA, or from just like purchasing a session, we're going to have a class next week that's really stepping into this deeper version of priming our labor. And so we're going to dive deep into the plants that you're going to be using from doTERRA or from Hawaii La'au. And then there's a question in the comment box. Mahalo nui. Makalapua. And so yeah, this recording will be sent out to you. And so if you purchase it within the next couple of days, then you'll be ready, set to go for next week. Or if you cannot make this time because it's too late and you're in this somewhere in Turtle Island, we can make sure to schedule another time for you all. But thank you so much for joining us. Malia, do you have anything to close?
Mahalo ya oko pakahia pau aloha.
Aloha. And then I'll stay on a little bit. If anyone has questions, we'll just give a couple moments for any questions to close it out. I'm gonna check the chat. Okay, well, nothing in the chat. Well, thank you so much. Aloha, ahui ho.
Ahui ho kako.